Hi, I'm designer Jen Gallagher and welcome to another video in the Crop and Crate Delivered Summer 2015 video series. Today we're going to be using some of the additional papers and embellishments to create a new layout. We're going to start with a gray pattern paper. It has words on one side and it has bees on the other. To build this layout, we're going to create a grid, and to do so we're going to use the 3x4 cards that are included in the collection kit. You can see that some of them have phrases and icons while others have just patterns on the back, and you can use whatever you want. I'm going to start creating the grid by just loosely placing them onto my layout. Then one trick you can do is you can create your own 3x4 cards. Simply cut pattern paper or cardstock 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall, and then using a corner rounder punch, you can round the corners yourself. You could also leave the corners unrounded if you like that look. I chose a corner rounder that had a similarly shaped corner as the cards so that the rounded part is pretty close to what the cards look like. Again, we're just kind of creating this grid here. I also have a photo that I've printed, and just like this pattern paper rectangle, we're going to do the same thing with the photo, and we're going to round the corners. For this particular photo, I print my photos at home, so I printed one that was 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall. However, you can take a 4x6 photo and crop it so that it is 3 inches by 4 inches. To build up the elements, what I want to do is I want to decorate the cards a little bit. And the concept is you want to treat each of the cards as its own kind of layout or project. We're going to take some of the gross grain ribbon. You can see that I've cut a triangle from the bottom, and we're going to place it onto this card, and we'll wrap it around so that it goes onto the back side. And then a super quick way to attach this is just to use a stapler. And you can do a couple of them, but that's just a fun way to dress up the card. To dress up, these boots were made for walking. I'm going to take a few of the epoxy bee stickers, and we're going to pretend like there's bees kind of flying around, buzzing around this little boot. So quick and easy way to decorate that particular card. For the raindrop card, I'm going to add one of the felt ribbon bows. And I wanted to point out that it does have foam on the back. And this is great because we're going to do a secondary technique with this card. We'll place the bow in the top part of the card. Then we'll take one of the stick pins that has the butterfly on the top. And if you see the foam right here, we're going to stick that butterfly straight through the foam. And it's great because it just holds it in place. For this bottom card, we're going to take some of the jelly bean soup pea pod parts, and we're going to create kind of a little scene. So we'll add the large orange flower, and we're going to overlap the side a little bit. What makes a grid interesting is when something is unexpected, such as an item going off the grid, or you can even add some adhesive foam dots if you wish, just to the back of the elements. And you only need just a few to kind of hold it up and pop it off the element. So you can see to dress up this one, all we did was just use some elements. And then I plan to overlap the photo onto that particular flower. To dress up this card here, we're going to do some stamping. Now on this clear acrylic block, I've placed 2 stamps. One is the calendar and one is the month. I'll show you what it looks like here on the stamp. So again, I've placed 2 different pieces, 2 different stamps onto the same clear acrylic block. We're going to use some of the white cardstock, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp the bottom with Wild Wasabi. It's a stamping ink color from Stampin' Up! And we're going to ink the calendar stamp thoroughly with this particular ink color. But any green that matches the green found in the pattern papers will work for this project. And we'll just stamp it, let's stamp it here along the bottom. We're again using the grid found on the stamping block to stamp this onto the pattern paper, or rather the cardstock. Now clean off your stamp. I'm just using a baby wipe because you have 2 different stamps on this. You don't want to ink anywhere on your surface. And this time we're going to use kind of a teal blue. It's called Lost Lagoon. It's, again, a Stampin' Up! Color, but you can use any blue that you want that matches the papers that you choose. And we're going to overlap the two stamps. So you can see here that I've done it, and I've pre-cut it so that it is 3 inches wide. Let's go ahead and place it onto our layout. So you can see I've started adding some enamel dots to the actual piece, and I wanted to add a cut file. Now this is one of the cut files that's exclusive to this kit, and it is a pair of sunglasses. And before I add anything else, I just want to attach this as well. So I'm going to use a different adhesive. It's a dot runner adhesive. And we'll just add enough adhesive that we can stick it right behind. You could also use that glue pen. Now we can add the July calendar to the bottom. So you can see that I'm making some things that are kind of customized to this particular layout. And we'll add some more enamel dots. Maybe one more. Then to the bottom of this raindrop particular card, I'm going to take some pattern paper to which I have already added some type. And we'll add this to the bottom. And you can always print or write on pattern paper, so don't feel like you just have to do this with cardstock. And then I'm going to take another cut file, this time in kind of the teal cardstock that's included in this kit. And we're going to add some adhesive to the back of it. And for this particular shape, I sized it down a little bit. In the first video, I used the cut exactly at the size that it opened up in my silhouette file. For this particular project, I sized it down by a couple of inches. And we're going to overlap this just a little bit. Now, don't press down because we're going to have to make some of these areas stick, and I don't want to stick it down all the way yet. Now that we kind of know the basic setup, we can go ahead and start adding some of the cards to the page. We'll come about an inch in, and I love it when a pattern paper has a pattern that we can use to keep the cards straight. And we'll leave some gap in between. Now we'll add the boots. One, leaving a little bit of a gap. Before I press it down all the way, I want to get a good feel for how far in between each card should be. So you might have to manipulate it a little bit or even use ruler marks to get it perfectly. We'll place the photo down. You could add additional text to the photo if you have a photo that writes, or a pen rather, that writes on the photo. You could add additional embellishments if you wish. For this particular flower, or rather eyeglasses, I'm going to let it overlap. The boots were made for walking. And then the flower we're going to tuck beneath the photo. So I'm going to lift the photo up a little bit. So I want the flower to go beneath, and I want the title to go on top. Pull this down just a smidge. And stick it down. Then to the Sunflare card here at the top, I'm going to take one of the P-Parts pieces. It's a die cut. It's just a little banner piece, and we're going to build up that banner a little bit. So every card is getting a little bit of a treatment of some kind, whether it's a die cut or something like that. Then to the bottom here, we're going to take some of the ribbon that we have left over, as well as a thin strip cut from the same yellow cardstock as we cut this eyeglass file from. And we'll get a placement for this, and you could use adhesive to adhere these, or you can use a stapler to do this. So I adhered the yellow strip with some adhesive, and then I stapled the ribbon. You can see it's also stapled on the back. So this is the second video in this series. Be sure to watch the third video, which will be released later after you've had a chance to play with your kit for a while. I hope you're enjoying this series. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our tutorial videos.